Hi there, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm King 5 meteorologist Adam Claibon. Well, we have a really warm week ahead. It's not going to be quite as warm by the time we get into the 4th of July. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But here as we get ready to go into the last day of June on Monday, it's looking like we're going to keep things fairly warm and maybe even warmer than average here over the next couple of weeks. Wanted to show you the Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, and you can see the big orange bullseye that we have here across parts of the Pacific Northwest, heading over towards the Rockies across Montana, and yeah, high confidence that things will be warmer than average. Now the average is at 74 right now, so sometimes that means things can get a little too hot, right? And well, today, at least for some of us, we were in that territory. Mason County, interior parts of Grays Harbor County, mid 80s down there for highs this afternoon. Again, something that we can handle, but definitely don't want to be into that territory all that often. Outside of there, upper 70s and lower 80s definitely doable for many of us here closer to Puget Sound and the Kitsap Peninsula. Out towards the coast, I think this is going to be our warmest day here of the week because we're going to start to see onshore flow begin to return for us heading into the day for tomorrow, and definitely by the time we head into Tuesday. We're going to talk all about that, but tomorrow for most of us will be the hottest day of the week. We head on into more the latter part of the day, it looks like, heading into the day tomorrow, and we do start to see things cooling down a bit more out towards the immediate coastline. Still, many of us across the Olympic Peninsula will still be pretty warm, but Tuesday, slight cool down, and then more so as we head on into Wednesday and beyond. The middle part of the week looking to be a little more comfortable, and it looks like by the 4th of July weekend, we're going to keep things very comfortable. Low to mid 70s for highs, and we're going to keep things dry. As it looks right now, we'll keep an eye on things, but there might be a few more clouds around as we head on into that point, and just enough of a flow in the atmosphere to help to bring some wind to help things not to be too smoky out there once we have those firework displays start to come about. Temperatures, you can see, falling as we go later into the week, but we got the 80s the next couple of days. Looking here up at the mountains and Mount Rainier up at Paradise, a wonderful shot, and look at all the people out here enjoying their late Sunday evening. Now, up this way, or down this way, sorry, around Westport, we're seeing a few more areas of sunshine. Again, not quite as warm as you go across more of the areas closer to the coast, but it looks like it's pretty busy out there. Many people getting ready for the upcoming week. Bellingham, gorgeous shot of the sun glistening off of the bay here, and plenty of sunshine up this way around Everett. Clear skies, and you can see a little bit of a haze in the sky. That's why the mountains off into the distance are not quite as crisp, and you don't see that fine delineation. It's not quite as dark. That's going to help to produce some really gorgeous sunsets as we head on into the evening, and a lot of people were out on South Lake Union today, and you can see right now we're sitting in the upper 70s, so it's going to be a beautiful evening here. And what we do expect as we head on into more of the evening, well, temperatures are going to drop pretty comfortably into the 60s. Still going to be wonderful as we head on into tomorrow morning too, with temperatures in the mid to upper 50s before we do start to warm things back up again heading into tomorrow afternoon. I wanted to show you this though. Big change yesterday in comparison to where we are right now as far as temperatures out over the Olympic Peninsula. That's where you have the greatest change. Up by about 10 to 11, 12 degrees across some of those parts. Not much of a difference, or as much of a difference as you head farther to the east, up by about 5 to 8 degrees here, which puts many of us here farther to the east in the upper 70s. Off towards the west, temperatures beginning to cool back down here into the evening after getting up closer to that 80-degree mark. Quileute, we're back down to around 71, 75, and Hoquiam should cool down fairly nicely here as we head on into the night. Now, recording this as of about 7 o'clock here into your Sunday evening. Now, radar, once we do start to spread out and start to give you a big picture look, high pressure, dominant feature. That slowly gets out of here as we head into the extremely latter part of the day tomorrow, but more so into the day on Tuesday. And that's when we start to see more of this influence from not only just off of the coast, off of the water, but there's a weak disturbance right here that's going to be working its way up the coastline. We call it a thermal trough. And what it's going to do is going to work its way across interior parts of the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to help to draw some of that air off of the Pacific and help to cool things down yet again. I'll show you that here coming up on Futurecast. Next 24 to, I would say, 36 hours, there's not much of a change though. We head on into the night. Here we are at 10 p.m. tonight. You can see generally clear skies. We have those in place even as we head on into the day for tomorrow as well. That's 2 p.m. in the afternoon. As mentioned, out here towards the coast, we start to see those subtle changes as we get a little more of that onshore push to make its way on. So that's going to cool us down a little bit out here towards the coast. While off towards the east, we're still dealing with a really warm day, and we'll head on into more of the day or night on Monday, 8 p.m. for you there, seeing those clear clear skies. Now, this is what's really going to bring the change. Heading into Tuesday, we'll have that thermal trough, that weak disturbance make its way through parts of the Cascades and then eventually across the eastern side of the state of Oregon and here in Washington, helping to introduce some additional cloud coverage. But out here you can see, we see that milky color starting to show up. That's that onshore push, that marine air that's helping to bring back more of that gloom start as we head on into the start of our day on Tuesday and the start of the month of July as well out there. Still going to keep things fairly warm here closer to areas around Puget Sound to the Kitsap Peninsula, but we are going to see that once that pushes well off to the east, that's when we start to see more of this onshore push working its way back closer to us. And especially by Tuesday night, this is 7 p.m., you start to see more of that battle being won by those westerly winds and clouds beginning to return to a certain degree as we head on into Wednesday, helping to keep things just a bit cooler. Now let's show you what's happening in the upper parts of the atmosphere where you're seeing some of the deeper oranges, some of the reds showing up. That's where we have a ridge of high pressure and the stronger areas of high pressure in place. Where you have more of the lighter colors, that's where you're going to see low pressure and more of that troughiness returning, oftentimes connected with cooler and more cloudy or at least active weather. So 11 a.m. heading into Wednesday, you can see things are beginning to cool back down just a bit more. We're losing some of those darker colors off to the south and things are going to start to cool off. We'll get a little more of that push from off of the coast. Here we are on Thursday, seeing a bit more of that beginning to take on shape. And then by Friday, this is the 4th of July, it bounces up a little bit. Weak ridge probably pushing on through, helping to keep things nice and clear heading into our 4th of July holiday. And since we are going to be right on that edge, it does continue to help to supply us with a little more of that air-conditioned air mass off of the Pacific to keep things from getting way too hot, which means that not only do we get the cooler and more comfortable temperatures, but we also get a little more of that wind, which is going to limit that smoke from really being locked in here, which sometimes can happen as we get into the 4th of July holiday. So not only just the displays and the events and the big shows happening, but many of us too. Maybe beginning to fire up some fireworks here. Also in place, it's really creating all that smoky and that hazy feel that we have across the sky. So once we head on into Saturday, you'll see that that ridge of high pressure is still going to be close enough around, and we do eventually start to see this area of low pressure win on out. But the big story is we're going to keep things pretty nice. We're going to keep things pretty comfortable into the 4th of July weekend, and thankfully it's not going to be terribly hot and it's not going to be all that much cool either. And for right now, it's looking like we're definitely going to keep things dry. But looking at the averages, 74 for that average high. Here are your actual forecasted highs for the next few days. We keep things pretty hot into the day for tomorrow. Again, the hottest day for many of us. Then numbers start to fall back down on Tuesday, and we'll see a lot of 70s around beyond that point Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. So your forecast tonight, 50s for those overnight lows, down to 54 in Bremerton, 54 in Puyallup. We drop all the way down to 51 in Shelton, and we might be one of the coolest spots early into the morning, but we're going to be one of the warmest and hottest spots as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Check out the forecast. Highs making their way up to 80 degrees in Bellingham, 76 in Orcas Island, 85 in Lake Kavanaugh. Foothill communities will be one of the spots here that we'll keep an eye out for more of those mid to upper 80s. Granite Falls getting up to 86 degrees. Monroe topping off at 87. Gold Bar getting up to 88 degrees. Darrington a little farther east getting up to 90 degrees. Closer to the water will keep things a bit more delightful. 70s there in Coopville and in Clinton, topping off at 80 in Linwood. Farther south here, Kitsap Peninsula over parts of King County. Mid 80s around Seattle, 86 in Renton, 87 in Issaquah, Maple Valley. We'll get up to 88 degrees. 86 over towards Bremerton. We'll see highs in the upper 80s to low 90s, possibly down this way around Olympia. Yelm up to 90 degrees to Nino. Reaching 90 degrees. We'll continue south. You can see Castle Rock, Longview, both at 90 degrees. 60s out towards the coast, and we'll see more 60s out towards the coast as we get a little more of that onshore push. Again, the immediate coastline going to be a bit cooler. If you're still farther inland, we probably are going to keep things fairly warm. Hump Tulips up to 78 degrees, and then Shelton, after starting off around the low 50s tomorrow morning, could be up there around that 90 degree mark by tomorrow afternoon. Here's your 7-day forecast. 82 on Tuesday. There's a slight cool down and then more of a noticeable cool down as we head into Wednesday all the way into the 4th of July weekend. And it looks like we're going to keep those 70s around as we head into most of next week as well.